You think your phone is distracting you.
It isn't.
That's the lie that allows the real problem to survive.
Because distractions happen to you.
What you're doing is different.
You're choosing it.
Every time boredom appears, you reach for your phone. Every time a task feels difficult, you reach for your phone. Every time you're left alone with your thoughts, you reach for your phone. Not because the phone is controlling you,
but because it gives you an escape route. A way out of discomfort. A way out of silence. A way out of facing yourself. And the more you use it that way, the more dangerous it becomes.
Because eventually your first response to life is no longer engagement.
It's escape.
And once that happens, your phone stops being a tool.
It becomes a system.
A system that quietly trains you to run whenever reality becomes uncomfortable. You already know this feeling. You're standing in line for 30 seconds.
You reach for your phone.
You're waiting for the elevator.
You reach for your phone.
You're sitting alone for a moment.
You reach for your phone.
You're supposed to start working.
You reach for your phone.
At some point, this behavior became so normal that you stopped questioning it.
You started calling it entertainment, staying informed, taking a break, passing time.
But if you're honest, something deeper is happening. Because the phone is not solving boredom.
It's helping you avoid it.
It's not solving stress.
It's helping you escape it.
It's not solving loneliness.
It's helping you numb it.
And every time you use your phone this way,
you're teaching your mind a dangerous lesson.
When discomfort appears, don't face it.
Escape it.
That lesson doesn't stay inside your phone.
It spreads into every part of your life. Your work, your goals, your relationships, your ability to focus, your ability to sit still, even your ability to understand yourself.
Because the person who constantly escapes discomfort eventually loses the ability to confront it. In this video, you're going to see why your phone is not actually the problem.
It's the symptom.
The real problem is the escape system you've built around it. And once you see that system clearly,
you'll never look at your phone the same way again. You keep telling yourself that your phone is the problem. That if you could just spend less time on it, you would finally become focused, disciplined, productive, in control. But deep down, you already know that's not true. Because you've done the experiment before.
You've deleted the apps, turned off notifications, set screen time limits, promised yourself that this time would be different.
And yet somehow, you always end up back in the same place. Why? Because the phone was never the real issue. The phone is just where the escape happens.
Take the phone away and watch what happens.
You don't suddenly become focused. You don't immediately start doing the difficult work. You don't instantly become disciplined. Instead, you start looking for another escape. You open another tab. You make coffee you don't need. You clean something that isn't important. You stare out the window. You find 100 different ways to avoid the one thing you're supposed to do. Because the real addiction isn't the device. The real addiction is escape. And that's a much harder truth to face.
Because now you can't blame the technology.
Now you have to look at yourself.
You have to ask a question most people spend years avoiding. What am I running from? That question makes people uncomfortable.
Because somewhere beneath the scrolling, beneath the videos, beneath the endless consumption, there is usually something you don't want to face. A difficult task, an uncomfortable emotion, a fear of failure, a fear of not being good enough, a feeling of uncertainty, a feeling of loneliness, a feeling of pressure, and your phone gives you an immediate exit.
A door you can walk through without thinking. A place where discomfort disappears for a few minutes.
A place where nothing is required from you. No challenge. No risk. No confrontation. Just endless stimulation.
And because that escape feels harmless,
you keep choosing it. Again. And again. And again. Until one day, something strange happens. You stop noticing that you're escaping.
You call it relaxing. You call it staying connected. You call it taking a break.
But the truth remains the same.
Every time reality asks something difficult from you,
you leave.
Not physically.
Psychologically.
You disappear into a world designed to keep you comfortable.
And the most dangerous part is that it feels normal.
Almost everyone does it.
Which means, almost nobody questions it.
But normal behavior is not always healthy behavior.
And widespread escape is still escape. The truth is, your phone is not stealing your attention. You're handing it over. Voluntarily. Every single day. Because the device is not the problem. The problem is that you've taught yourself to run whenever life becomes uncomfortable. And that habit is quietly shaping who you become. Because every escape strengthens the same message. Discomfort is something to avoid. And that message is far more dangerous than any app on your phone. Most people think they pick up their phone because they're distracted. But if you pay close attention, you'll notice something else. The urge doesn't appear randomly. It appears at very specific moments. Moments of discomfort. You're about to start a difficult task. You reach for your phone. You're reading something that requires concentration. You reach for your phone. You're sitting in silence. You reach for your phone. You're feeling anxious. You reach for your phone. You're feeling lonely. You reach for your phone. You're feeling uncertain about your future. You reach for your phone. The pattern is always the same. First comes discomfort. Then comes escape. The phone is simply the bridge between the two. And because the process happens so quickly, you rarely notice it. The discomfort lasts only a few seconds. Then your hand moves almost automatically. Before you even realize what's happening, you're scrolling, watching, consuming, escaping. And just like that, the feeling is gone, at least temporarily. That's why this habit is so powerful. Your brain learns that the phone works. Every time discomfort appears, the phone removes it. Every time boredom appears, the phone removes it. Every time uncertainty appears, the phone removes it. So your brain starts creating a simple rule. When discomfort shows up, reach for the phone. The problem is that discomfort exists for a reason. Discomfort is often life trying to get your attention. Boredom is trying to tell you something. Anxiety is trying to tell you something. Restlessness is trying to tell you something. Frustration is trying to tell you something. But you never stay long enough to listen. The moment the feeling arrives, you silence it. Imagine if every time someone tried to have an important conversation with you, you walked away after 3 seconds. Eventually, you would never understand what they were trying to say. That's exactly what happens with your inner life. You never sit with the feeling long enough to understand it. You never stay with the boredom long enough to discover what lies beneath it. You never stay with the anxiety long enough to understand its source. You never stay with the discomfort long enough to grow through it. Instead, you escape. Again and again. And because the escape is socially acceptable, nobody calls it what it is. They call it checking notifications, catching up, relaxing, staying connected. But let's be honest. Most of the time, you're not looking for information. You're looking for relief. A temporary break from whatever you're feeling in that moment. And relief is seductive. Because it feels like a solution. But it isn't. It's avoidance disguised as comfort. And every time you choose that comfort, you make yourself slightly less capable of facing discomfort the next time it appears. That's the trap. The more you escape discomfort, the less tolerance you have for it. And the less tolerance you have for it, the more desperately you need your escape. Until eventually, even the smallest moments of silence become unbearable. Even a few seconds without stimulation feels uncomfortable. Even your own thoughts begin to feel like something you need to avoid. And that's when the phone stops being a convenience. It becomes a necessity. Not because you need the device, but because you've forgotten how to be alone with discomfort. And that is where the real dependency begins. The most dangerous habits are not the ones you consciously choose. They're the ones that become automatic. The ones you perform before you even realize you're doing them. And if you're honest, that's exactly what has happened with your phone. There are times when you unlock it without a reason. You open an app, close it, open another, refresh the same feed, check the same notifications, watch the same type of content, and afterward you barely remember why you picked it up in the first place. Because you weren't making a decision. You were executing a program you've trained for years. Think about it. When discomfort appears, how much time passes before your hand reaches for your phone? 10 seconds? 5? 3? For some people, it's almost instant. The feeling appears and the escape follows automatically. No thought, no awareness, no resistance, just reaction. And that's where the real danger begins. Because every time you repeat this cycle, your brain becomes more efficient at it. The pathway gets stronger. The response gets faster. The escape becomes more automatic. Until eventually, you don't just use your phone when you're uncomfortable. You use it because your brain has learned that discomfort and escape belong together, like two sides of the same coin. The moment one appears, the other follows. And this doesn't stay confined to your phone. That's the mistake most people make. They think this habit only affects screen time. It doesn't. It changes the way you respond to life itself. Because now, every challenge triggers the same instinct. A difficult conversation, escape. A demanding project, escape. An uncomfortable truth, escape. A moment of self-reflection, escape. You begin training yourself to avoid friction instead of confronting it. And at first, that sounds harmless. But think about what growth actually requires. Growth requires discomfort. Discipline requires discomfort. Learning requires discomfort. Honest self-reflection requires discomfort. Every meaningful transformation in your life exists on the other side of discomfort. Yet every day, you're strengthening a system designed to avoid it. Can you see the contradiction? You say you want to grow, but you're training yourself to run from the very thing growth demands. You say you want discipline, but you're reinforcing a habit of immediate relief. You say you want control, but you've handed control over to a conditioned response. And the frightening part is that most people never notice this happening. They think they're losing focus. They think they're struggling with productivity. They think they have an attention problem. But what they actually have is an avoidance problem. Their brain has become so accustomed to escaping discomfort that facing reality now feels unnatural. And every day, they reinforce it. Every scroll, every tap, every unconscious reach for the device. They're casting another vote. Another vote for the person who runs. Another vote for the person who avoids. Another vote for the person who chooses relief over growth. And after enough repetition, something subtle begins to happen. You stop trusting yourself in difficult moments. Because deep down, you know what you're going to do. The moment pressure arrives. The moment boredom arrives. The moment discomfort arrives. You'll run. Not because you're weak, but because you've trained yourself to. And what you've trained yourself into, you can train yourself out of. But first, you have to see the pattern. Because you cannot break an escape system you still mistake for a harmless habit. There was a time when being alone was normal. You waited in silence. You walked without constant stimulation. You had moments where there was nothing to do except think. And whether you realized it or not, those moments served a purpose. Because solitude is where you meet yourself. It's where your thoughts rise to the surface. It's where you process experiences. It's where you confront fears. It's where you hear the parts of yourself that get drowned out by noise. But now, the moment silence appears, you eliminate it. The moment you're alone, you reach for stimulation. The moment there's space to think, you fill it. Not because you have something important to check, but because you've become uncomfortable with emptiness. And that should concern you. Because if you never sit with yourself, how will you ever understand yourself? Think about how quickly you remove silence from your life. You wake up, phone. When eating, phone. When you are walking, phone. You lie in bed, phone. From the moment you open your eyes until the moment you close them, there is almost always something entering your mind. Videos, posts, messages, opinions, news, entertainment, noise, constant noise. And because there is always something coming in, there is almost no room for anything to come out. Your thoughts remain unexamined. Your emotions remain unprocessed. Your questions remain unanswered. Your fears remain buried. Because every time they try to surface, you drown them in stimulation. And at first, this feels harmless. After all, what's wrong with watching a few videos? What's wrong with checking your phone? What's wrong with staying entertained? Nothing. Until entertainment becomes avoidance. Until stimulation becomes dependency. Until silence becomes something you can no longer tolerate. That's when the cost becomes visible. Because the ability to sit alone with your thoughts is not a luxury. It's a form of psychological strength. The strongest people are not always the most productive, or the most intelligent, or the most successful. Often they are simply the people who can remain present when discomfort appears. The people who don't immediately run. The people who can sit in silence without needing to escape it. The people who can face themselves. But you can't develop that strength if every uncomfortable thought is interrupted by a screen. You can't develop self-awareness if you're constantly distracted from yourself.
You can't understand your mind if you never spend time inside it.
And this is the tragedy of modern life.
Many people are connected to thousands of voices,
yet completely disconnected from their own.
They know what influencers think, what creators think, what strangers think, what everyone else thinks.
But ask them to sit alone in a quiet room for 30 minutes with no stimulation, and they become restless, anxious, agitated, desperate for an escape.
Why? Because solitude has become unfamiliar,
and unfamiliar things feel threatening.
The truth is, your phone didn't destroy your ability to be alone. You surrendered it little by little.
One scroll at a time, one distraction at a time, one escape at a time,
until silence started feeling uncomfortable.
And when silence becomes uncomfortable, you lose one of the most important opportunities for growth.
Because some of the most important conversations you'll ever have
are the ones you have with yourself, but those conversations can only happen when the noise finally stops.
One of the biggest lies you tell yourself is this: it's only a few minutes.
A few minutes here, a few minutes there.
One quick scroll, one more video, one more check.
Nothing serious.
Nothing that feels important enough to worry about.
But your life is not lost in dramatic moments. It's lost in small moments repeated thousands of times. And that's what makes this so dangerous.
Because every time you escape into your phone, you're not just avoiding discomfort.
You're avoiding life itself. Think about it.
How many ideas have died because you never sat with them long enough to develop them? How many goals have remained goals because you escaped the work required to build them? How many opportunities have passed by because your attention was somewhere else?
How many moments of growth have been traded for moments of stimulation? The frightening part is that most people never calculate this cost.
They see the minutes,
but they never see the life hidden inside those minutes.
Because the real loss isn't time.
The real loss is what that time could have become.
A skill mastered, a business started, a book written, a body transformed,
a relationship strengthened, a future created.
Every meaningful thing in your life requires sustained attention.
But sustained attention is exactly what your escape system is teaching you to avoid. And so you find yourself in a strange situation.
You want extraordinary results,
but you're living inside ordinary distractions.
You dream about becoming more.
Yet every day, you practice becoming less present, less focused, less intentional, less engaged with your own life.
And the worst part is that it doesn't feel like you're making that choice.
Because the choice happens so quietly.
No dramatic collapse, no warning signs, no alarm.
Just thousands of tiny decisions.
Tiny moments where reality asks for your attention.
And you give it to your phone instead.
Over time, those moments begin to accumulate.
Months pass. Years pass.
And one day,
you look back and realize something painful.
You weren't just scrolling through content.
You were scrolling through your life.
While you were consuming other people's experiences.
You were neglecting your own.
While you were watching other people build things.
You were postponing what you wanted to build.
While you were observing life through a screen.
Your own life was waiting for you to participate in it. That realization is difficult to sit with, because it forces you to confront a painful truth.
The phone never forced you to leave your life.
You chose to leave. Again and again.
Whenever discomfort appeared. Whenever boredom appeared. Whenever uncertainty appeared.
You escaped. And every escape came with a hidden cost. Not just lost time. Lost presence. Lost opportunities. Lost growth.
Lost versions of yourself that never had the chance to emerge.
Because every time you chose the escape, you postponed the person you were capable of becoming. And that's why this issue is much bigger than screen time.
This is about the life waiting on the other side of your attention. A life that cannot be lived while you're constantly escaping from it.
And the longer you keep running, the more of that life remains forever out of reach.
At this point, you might be tempted to think the solution is simple.
Delete the apps. Turn off notifications. Use your phone less. And while those things can help, they don't solve the real problem.
Because remember, the phone is not the escape.
The phone is where the escape happens.
If you don't address the reason you're escaping,
you'll simply find another place to run. A different app. A different distraction. A different excuse. A different form of avoidance.
The escape system will survive because the root of it remains untouched. So the real question isn't, How do I spend less time on my phone?
The real question is,
why am I so desperate to avoid being present?
That's where the transformation begins.
Because the opposite of escape isn't productivity.
The opposite of escape is presence. The ability to stay, to remain, to sit with discomfort without immediately trying to remove it.
And if you've spent years training yourself to run, that will feel unnatural at first.
Maybe even painful.
You'll reach for your phone and stop yourself, and suddenly,
you'll feel what's underneath. The boredom, the restlessness, the anxiety, the uncertainty, the loneliness, the pressure, the emotions you've been outrunning for years. And in that moment, you'll be faced with a choice.
The same choice that has quietly shaped your life. Run.
Or stay.
Most people never stay long enough. They feel the discomfort and immediately look for relief. But growth begins at the exact moment you refuse to escape. Not because the discomfort disappears,
but because you finally allow yourself to experience it. And something surprising happens when you do.
You discover that discomfort is not nearly as dangerous as you've been treating it. The boredom doesn't kill you. The anxiety doesn't destroy you. The uncertainty doesn't consume you. The feeling rises.
It stays. And then it passes.
Just like every feeling before it. But for years, you've been acting as if discomfort was an emergency. As if every unpleasant emotion required immediate intervention.
So you reached for your phone. Again and again. Until escape became automatic.
Now it's time to reverse that process.
One moment at a time.
The next time you feel the urge to check your phone for no reason.
Pause.
Don't judge yourself. Don't shame yourself.
Just observe.
Ask yourself, what am I trying not to feel right now?
That question alone can expose the entire system.
Because suddenly, the phone is no longer the focus.
The feeling is.
And once you become aware of the feeling, you stop operating on autopilot. You create a gap between discomfort and reaction. A gap where choice becomes possible.
And that gap is where freedom lives.
Not in deleting your phone, not in becoming a productivity machine,
but in reclaiming your ability to choose your response.
Because the person with the most control is not the person who never feels discomfort.
It's the person who no longer needs to escape it.
That's the person who can focus. That's the person who can grow. That's the person who can face difficult work, difficult emotions, and difficult truths without running away. And every time you choose to stay present instead of escaping,
you cast a vote for that person.
A vote for awareness over avoidance. A vote for courage over comfort. A vote for engagement over escape.
And eventually,
those votes become identity. You stop being someone who runs from life,
and start becoming someone who lives it.
You came into this video thinking your phone was the problem,
but now you can see something much deeper.
The phone was never the enemy.
The phone was the refuge.
The hiding place. The escape route. The place you ran to whenever reality felt uncomfortable.
And that's why so many people fail when they try to fix this problem.
They fight the device, but they never confront the reason they keep reaching for it. Because this was never about technology.
It was about avoidance.
It was about the habit of escaping boredom.
Escaping uncertainty. Escaping loneliness. Escaping difficult work. Escaping difficult emotions.
Escaping yourself.
And the longer you escape, the smaller your life becomes.
Not because the phone steals your potential,
but because every escape is a decision.
A decision to postpone growth. A decision to postpone self-understanding. A decision to postpone the life waiting on the other side of discomfort.
And if you're honest, you already know this.
You know there are conversations you've been avoiding, projects you've been postponing, goals you've been delaying, truths you've been refusing to face. And every time those things call for your attention,
the escape system is waiting.
One tap away, one scroll away, one distraction away. The frightening part is that most people will continue doing this for years. They will keep escaping, keep scrolling, keep consuming, keep postponing their lives. Until one day they look back and realize they spend more time watching life than living it. Don't let that become your story, because your future will not be shaped by what you consume. It will be shaped by what you confront, the discomfort you face, the silence you sit through, the work you stop avoiding, the truth you finally allow yourself to hear.
That is where your life changes.
Not on your screen,
but in the moments you choose not to run from yourself.
Every time you reach for your phone without thinking,
ask yourself,
am I looking for information, or am I looking for an escape?
Because the answer to that question may reveal far more about your life than your screen time ever will.
If this video exposed a pattern you've been ignoring, subscribe, because this channel isn't about motivation. It's about uncovering the hidden psychological systems that quietly control your behavior, and learning how to take that control back. And if this message hit home, leave this comment. I choose presence. Not because it's a phrase, but because it's a decision. A decision to stop escaping. A decision to stop running. A decision to finally participate in your own life. Because the moment you stop looking for an escape is the moment you start becoming free.